Blackheads usually begin when pores become clogged with excess oil and dead skin cells, so prevention works best when skincare stays gentle, regular, and simple rather than harsh, aggressive, or constantly changing. Wash acne-prone skin no more than twice a day and also after heavy sweating, using a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because frequent washing, rough scrubbing, and very hot or very cold water can irritate the skin and make acne seem worse. Do not try to squeeze, scrape, or clean out blackheads at home, because that can worsen inflammation and may increase the risk of lasting marks or scarring. Choose oil-free or non-comedogenic skincare, sunscreen, and makeup when possible. Remove makeup before bed and keep oily hair products away from the face. Over-the-counter ingredients such as salicylic acid, adapalene, and benzoyl peroxide can help unclog pores or support acne control, but they can cause dryness or irritation at first, so it makes sense to start slowly and use a light moisturizer if needed. Improvement usually takes several weeks rather than happening overnight, and if acne becomes painful, widespread, scar-forming, or does not improve after a reasonable trial of self-care, it is sensible to see a dermatologist. And now, with that practical advice set neatly at the front like a folded towel on a bathroom shelf, let the rest of the evening belong to laughter, because in a quiet retirement town in Georgia, where every porch had a swing and every swing had heard more than it should, there lived a 79-year-old widow named Dorothy Lane Mercer, who had reached the age where she no longer mistook confusion for mystery and no longer believed any sentence that began with, "Wouldn't it be fun if?" Dorothy lived in a small white bungalow with green shutters, a brick path, and a front yard so carefully trimmed that even the dandelions seemed to apologize before appearing. Her late husband, Wilbur, had been a practical man in every serious matter, and a complete fool in exactly the kinds of ways that kept a marriage from becoming dull. He paid bills on time, repaired anything with a motor, could sharpen kitchen knives with near religious focus, and yet he also collected decorative objects that looked as though they had been designed during a fever. The crown jewel of this strange collection was a concrete rabbit, wearing a blue necktie and holding a metal briefcase. He found it at a church charity sale 17 years earlier, purchased it after what he described as a perfectly normal bidding process, and what everyone else described as a brief loss of reason, and then carried it home in the back of the truck like a state monument. When Dorothy asked why on earth any lawn needed a rabbit in business attire, Wilbur had replied, with perfect seriousness, that every respectable home required one visible citizen who looked ready to discuss zoning over carrot cake. Dorothy laughed so hard she had to sit on the porch step. The rabbit stayed. It stayed through rain, repainting, grandchildren, roof repairs, and the long, quiet years after Wilbur died, when the house learned how to hold one person less without becoming fully empty. Dorothy never moved it. She dusted it. She straightened the tie after storms. She once told the package boy not to lean a box against it because Mr. Harlan has enough responsibilities without handling your shoes. Her two closest friends were Janice Ruth Bell, age 73, retired church secretary, owner of a red handbag with the carrying capacity of a moral emergency, and a woman who could hear fresh gossip forming half a block away, and Clyde Harmon, age 82, former feed store manager, amateur domino expert, and a man who trusted cast iron, good coffee, and his own first impression more than he trusted websites, scented candles, or any person who used the phrase "circle back" in casual conversation. Every Wednesday morning, the three met at Dot's Biscuit House, where the coffee was strong, the grits were serious, and the waitress, a no-nonsense marvel named Tina, called everyone sugar. in a voice that suggested she could also break up a fight without spilling a drop of tea. One Wednesday in early May, Dorothy arrived 11 minutes late with a face so sharp that Janice stopped buttering her toast halfway through, and Clyde lowered his mug without taking the sip he had clearly earned. "That look," Janice said, narrowing her eyes, "means either the church ladies have launched another project or somebody has touched your yard." Dorothy sat down, set her purse beside her, and said, "Someone has made my rabbit the chairman of romance." Clyde blinked once. Janice blinked twice. Tina stopped beside the table with the coffee pot suspended in air, like a witness reluctant to miss the next line. "Your what?" Janice asked. Dorothy pulled a folded flyer from her purse and flattened it on the table. It was pale pink and featured more script lettering than any decent society should allow before breakfast. Across the top it read, "Evening of Second Chances, a social for seniors who still have opinions." Beneath a watercolor moon and several implausibly cheerful lanterns sat a photograph of her concrete rabbit, tie straight, briefcase shining, beneath the words, "Hosted in spirit by Mr. Harlan, patron of fresh starts." Tina put the pot down with reverence. "Not the little businessman rabbit." "Exactly the little businessman rabbit," Dorothy said, "who has never hosted anything except mildew." Younger people might think that using a decorative rabbit to advertise a late-life singles mixer is a small misunderstanding, but younger people have not yet learned what happens when retirees, loneliness, folding chairs, and printer access collide. In Magnolia View Estates, no event stayed the size it started. A potluck became a committee became a newsletter item became an argument, and an argument, if properly fed, could remain alive until Christmas. So by the time breakfast arrived, half the diner knew that Dorothy Lane Mercer's concrete rabbit had become the symbolic face of mature companionship. A man at the counter said he always thought the rabbit looked emotionally available but financially disciplined. A woman near the pie case declared the social committee a menace with glue sticks. Tina brought Dorothy extra bacon for emotional ballast. Janice had already turned over a paper placemat and written "Rabbit Matter" in thick block letters. "We're investigating," she announced. Dorothy sighed. "We're eating breakfast." "Both can happen," Clyde said, which was exactly the sort of sentence older people use when meddling has already been approved by the soul. By 10:30, they stood in Dorothy's front yard beside the rosebush where the rabbit normally stood. Or rather, should have stood. The square of bare dirt by the brick path was empty. Dorothy stopped so fast, Janice nearly walked into her shoulder. "No," she said. Janice followed her gaze and gasped. Clyde took off his glasses, polished them with slow disappointment, and put them back on. "Well," he said, "that improves the seriousness. Because this was no longer just promotional misuse, this was decorative abduction." Janice found a strip of silver ribbon caught in the hedge. Clyde found 2 narrow wheel marks leading toward the curb. Dorothy stood there with her hands on her hips, staring at the empty patch where Wilbur's ridiculous rabbit had stood for years, and said, "They have kidnapped a memorial mammal for emotional outreach." Janice wrote it down immediately. By noon, the whole neighborhood knew. At the mailbox cluster, Mrs. Penley asked whether the event would still proceed without the rabbit gentleman. At the pharmacy, a cashier said her aunt had bought a ticket specifically because the rabbit made the whole thing feel less humiliating. At chair yoga, 2 women paused mid-stretch to ask whether there would still be sandwiches. Even the groundskeeper, Raoul, who had wisely structured his career around avoiding all resident mythology, shook his head and said, "The rabbit? That's too much." Dorothy's daughter called from Birmingham, laughing so hard she had to apologize before she could speak. "Mama," she said, Why is Daddy's rabbit running emotional programming? Because this town is one lace napkin away from collapse, Dorothy replied. Are you upset? I am offended on principle and interested in names. The first real clue came from the girl at the florist, who lowered her voice and said, I probably shouldn't mention this, but I saw Brenda Nell and Marcia Kay loading something upright and ridiculous into a golf cart yesterday afternoon behind the clubhouse. They had battery candles and looked very proud of themselves. Brenda Nell chaired the social circle. Marcia Kay handled event decor and once described a soup supper as a warm visual narrative. Together, they were exactly the kind of women who would borrow a dead man's lawn rabbit to improve attendance and then call it lovely. So by 1:30, Dorothy, Janice, and Clyde were at the clubhouse. The room had already been transformed into the sort of atmosphere only retirees and clearance craft supplies can produce. Folding chairs in pairs, paper lanterns, lace runners, little jars with battery candles, a violin playlist leaking from a speaker, and, at the front of the room, on a small wooden crate, beneath a sign that read, Love arrives quietly, stood Mr. Harlan. He had been polished. His blue tie had been straightened. And to Dorothy's horror, someone had placed a tiny silk boutonniere on his lapel. Dorothy stopped dead. Now they've dressed him for intention, she said. Clyde folded his arms. This is how empires decline. Brenda Nell turned with the overbright smile of a woman who knew she had crossed a line, but still hoped the centerpiece would save her. Dorothy, she said, I was just going to call you. Then let us save each other the effort, Dorothy replied. Why is my late husband's rabbit standing under a romance slogan wearing floral optimism? Marcia Kay winced. Several volunteers, who until that exact second had been pretending to arrange cups and plates, became perfectly still, which is one of the highest performance activities available after retirement. Brenda lifted both hands. Now, before you misunderstand, no, Dorothy said. I understand exactly. You took private property from my front yard, decorated it, and assigned it symbolic, emotional function. Janice opened her notebook. Clyde made a low, approving sound. Brenda tried the usual excuse. We only borrowed him. Borrowed contains asking. We meant to ask. You did not. We thought you'd be flattered. By unauthorized rabbit. Courtship? Marcia tried